Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got another nail art tutorial and I'm going to show you how I created a pastel rainbow mermaid gradient. If you're new to my channel, I do swatches, reviews, and nail art tutorials, and I'll leave my nail art playlist on the screen so you can check that out. But otherwise, let's go ahead and get on into the tutorial. I'll start by applying a base coat to all of my nails and then a white polish. Here I'm using Butter London's Cotton Buds. Next, I'm going to apply one coat of a fast drying top coat because I'm going to be using nail vinyls, and this is going to help prevent the white polish from lifting up when I remove the vinyl. For the pastel gradient, I'm going to be using Salon Perfect's Good Vibes Only, Salon Perfect She's a Peach, TWINKLED Stay Yolk, Sally Hansen Mint Sorbet, ORLY Patience and Peace, and Salon Perfect's Cut to the Chase. I'm also going to be using these scale stencils from What's Up Nails, and I really like these stencils because they're durable and they're pretty sticky, so I can use one stencil for every 2 nails instead of using a new stencil for each nail. I'll use a pair of tweezers to place the stencil on my nail and then my fingers to press it down. Using a clean makeup sponge, I'm going to do a gradient on each nail with 2 or 3 different pastel polishes, and on my index nail I'll start with the pastel pink and the pastel orange, slightly overlapping the 2 colors in the center. Then I'm going to dab that sponge onto my nail, creating a vertical gradient, and then reapply the polishes to the makeup sponge and repeat those steps until I'm happy with the opacity. And as soon as I'm done, I'm going to remove the stencil from my nail using a pair of tweezers. Moving on to the middle nail, and like I said before, I'm going to use the same stencil that I used on the first nail for this nail because it is still sticky and it still works. And I'm going to apply the pastel orange and the pastel yellow to the makeup sponge, and then dab that onto my nail. For all of these nails, I only had to reapply the polishes to the makeup sponge once and dab it again, but if your polishes are a little less opaque, you might have to do it a 3rd time. And I know that some of the lines aren't super crisp, but I'm going to be fixing that later on. Onto the 3rd nail, I'm going to peel a fresh stencil from the sheet, and I'm going to place that onto my nail. Now I'm going to cut off the top of the makeup sponge because I used that for the last 3 polishes, and this is going to give me a fresh edge to apply the next few polishes. For this nail, I actually used 3 different polishes, so I used the pastel yellow, the pastel green, and the pastel blue. But as you'll see, I slightly overestimated the width of my nail, and so only the green and the blue showed up. So that's something else that you might want to consider. Depending on how wide or narrow your nails are, you might only be able to fit 2 different colors onto your nail, or you might want to paint on thinner lines onto the makeup sponge. And finally, onto my pinky nail. Again, I'm going to reuse the stencil that I just used on my last nail, and I'm going to apply it with a pair of tweezers and then press it down with my fingers. And on the makeup sponge, I just applied the pastel blue and the pastel purple, again overlapping the 2 colors in the middle. Then I sponged it onto my nail and I repeated that one more time. And after I finish removing this last stencil, then I'm going to go back in and clean up the polish around all of my nails. Here I'm just going to use a brush dipped in some acetone to remove any polish that was sponged onto my skin. And if there's any areas where the polish may have seeped under the stencil or where the lines aren't super clear, I'm going to go back in with a detail brush and some white polish to sharpen up those lines. And once everything was all cleaned up, I just applied a glossy, fast-drying top coat. Now you could totally stop there after applying the fast-drying top coat, but I wanted to add a few embellishments, so I'm going to show you what that looks like after I show you what it looks like with just a top coat. So here is the pastel mermaid gradient design with just a top coat. So now I'll show you how I applied the embellishments onto my nail, and for this I'm going to be using some flat backed pearl rhinestones as well as some micro beads, and I'm going to apply a fast drying top coat to my nail, but you could also use some nail glue if you want them to last a little bit longer. And then I'm going to use my wax pencil to pick up these rhinestones and the micro beads, and I'm going to place them in the corner of my nail. And just as a side note, I did end up replacing this larger red pearl rhinestone just because I found another one that matched better. I'm going to speed up the process on the other 3 nails, but it's basically the same. I just switched up the placement of the rhinestones and the micro beads a little bit. And here is the finished pastel rainbow mermaid design with the pearl rhinestones and micro beads. I had so much fun filming and creating this design, and this design is probably one of my favorite designs that I've done recently. I also haven't used nail vinyls in a really long time, and I forgot just how much I love them. They're so easy to use and they have really fun designs. But anyways, that's all for today's tutorial. Again, if you're new to my channel, I do swatches, reviews, and nail art tutorials just like this one, so be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed watching this tutorial. And if you recreate this design, I would love to see it, so be sure to tag me on Instagram at caramellogram so I can see. But anyways, that's all for today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!